Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Night Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. My boys on the screen right here. We got James from Brownsburg, Indiana, as usual, and our guy Jamie from somewhere in Canada, somewhere I think close to Sober Island, Nova Scotia. Doesn't sound like a very fun place, Jamie.
That sounds like a pretty bad time, if you ask me. Yeah.
We got to give Jamie the benefit of the doubt here. He's going to have one eye on his Las Vegas Knights, who are up 3-0 over the Blackhawks in their playoff series, and one eye kind of overseeing the production here at Bengal Jim. So if we hear like Jamie get up and scream, it wasn't a Bengal touchdown or anything. The Knights scored and on their way to sweep the Blackhawks.
Hopefully.
There we go. Guys, we are Corey Dillon and Joe Mixon days away from the first game of the year against the San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, whatever they are. Still San Diego to me. So the boys will be in pads Tuesday for the first time, I think. So that'll be really fun to see these guys getting some pads and get some hitting in. And just real quick shout out to our partners from Houday Nation on Facebook. We announced that partnership last week. So that group and us, we've been partnering here for the past few weeks. We've got all kinds of things moving forward with Houday Nation on Facebook. A lot of fun, a lot of diehard Bengal fans there as well. So good stuff. Make sure you follow them on their Facebook page as well. And also, we made an announcement last week. We are giving away in AJ Green, if you can see this, an AJ Green autograph football. You have to be a follower on Facebook and or Twitter. And just share that link that we have posted there. We'll announce that live on the show next week, who wins that AJ Green autograph football. That's a nice one there. I'm kind of struggling parting with that one, but it's a good one for everybody. Trying to think what else here. Also, today at practice today, I did get a chance to walk down a little bit and watch the end of practice. But I know that Marcus Bailey, the 7th-round draft pick out of Purdue, was running most of all the first-team reps on defense today at linebacker. That's the guy, if you remember, out of Purdue when he played and he stayed healthy, he was on the field. He was one of the top linebackers in the NFL. So hopefully the guy can stay healthy for us because the kid's legit. But he was playing with the first teamers today most of the time.
Our buddy Johnny Stenger will be happy to hear that, big Purdue alum and season ticket holder. And good to finally have one, maybe starting at linebacker. That's good. First of all, that he's getting those reps, but, he had that serious injury. And as everybody knows, he would have been drafted a lot higher had it not been for those injuries. So that's just great to see him out there running around, hopefully back at 100%.
Yep. Good stuff, man. That linebacker core, like we talked about last week, is going to be fun to watch. Young, but fun, fast, aggressive, and running all over the damn field. So line up tonight real quick. So we have a special guest with us again, like we do every week. We have yet another Bengal OG, another legend. David Fulcher is with us today. We've got some great stuff to talk to David about. Look forward to your interaction throughout the session. We will make sure you guys get some opportunities to ask David some questions as well, okay? Fan of the week. And, Jamie, I'm asking you, we have a fan of the week, Adam McKay from Canada. Do you know him? He's from Canada.
Just down the street in Edmonton.
Come on, man. Oh, man. Bengals History 101. Tom and I are going to go over the top 5 sack masters in Cincinnati Bengal history. We narrowed it down to 5 specific players in Bengal history, and we have a 6th one we're going to talk about that had an amazing season before sacks were even counted in the 70s. We'll talk about that, and we'll finish off the night with a question of the week. So, guys, anything else before we get David on here?
No, I'm excited. Let's bring David in.
Let's go.
Right, here we go.
Mr. Fulcher, what's going on, big dog? How you doing? Can you hear us?
Uh-oh. Can't hear you. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. I'm here, guys. I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
You got it? Okay, good, good. How you doing, David?
I'm doing good, man. You guys are doing good?
Man, life is good, man. Life is good.
No
So,
complaints here.
yep. So we have a lot of followers right now live, David, on
to me, right? Being locked up in the house, letting the old Greek stuff come out.
we're going to talk about the grooming thing here in a minute, man. We got to talk, David. We got some stuff to talk about on that. We're going to get you here in a minute. But let's David, we've got a lot of folks following on Facebook right now, a ton of people on Facebook and a group of people on YouTube as well. But just a quick introduction for a lot of young bucks, David, that don't know that about David Fulcher. And if they don't know, they're going to learn today about my man David here. So David was drafted in 1986, the third round out of Arizona State, three-time Pro Bowler, first time All-Pro 1989, second team All-Pro 1990, played with the Bengals from 86 to 92, and went out west back home and played for the Raiders in 93. So I really want to start, we're going to start at the beginning, Dave. Let's start in college, and we're going to play a short clip here, and then we got some stuff we want to talk to you about after this clip.
For conventional offense, the young Sun Devil defense can be awesome. Their trademark, the blitz. 29 quarterback sacks this season. That's ahead of last year's record-setting pace. The main man of the assault is safety David Fulcher, a big, fast, sure tackler with a flair for the unusual. He has 6 sacks and an interception to his credit and a rather unusual hairdo.
It's my arrow. When I was in high school, a couple of guys had arrows in their head, and I just wanted to try it out. And so far, it's brought me success. You know, everybody said it's the arrow that's doing the job. So I think I did it last night so I can, see what happens this game. And it seemed like it turned out to be a good game with the arrow in there. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So David, the arrow, I was going to get an arrow shaved in my head. My wife wouldn't let me, man. So you talking about bringing that back or what? Can you hear us, David?
I'm gonna tell you something, man. When I saw that, I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, who is that kid?" I did have some hair then, as you see. I don't have too much now, but no, I don't even remember that. Wow, that's kind of wild to see that. But yeah, I think that kid was just happy to be on the football field, and I think one of my roommates, Dan Salamua, when I was in college, he told me that he could, shave my hair to cut my hair, and he messed up and the attachment fell off. So I had to put some kind of design in there. And so we put the arrow in there, and, the arrow looked pretty good. I played pretty well after that game. So they told me I should have it like that every Saturday night. So I decided to do it.
That's great. That's good stuff. So that game, that clip right there was kind of pre-game to a game in 1983, your sophomore year, where Arizona State was playing Florida State that year. But I guess let's talk about the college career, David. Just help everybody understand. Out of high school, you were recruited to Arizona State at what position?
Oh, wow. You guys went out there, man. So I think I heard, I don't know if the connection is bad, but I did know when I was recruited out of high school, the majority of the colleges that came to see me, they wanted me to be a wide receiver. I'm sorry, a defensive back. And I didn't want to play DB. I wanted to catch touchdowns. And Arizona State, out of all the schools, UCLA and USC at home, Washington, the Oregons, Notre Dame, those schools came just to see me if they wanted me to play DB, and I didn't want to play DB. So Arizona State was the only school that said, we'll let you play DB. And then it was the defensive coordinator, DB coach, Willie Shaw. His son, David Shaw, obviously, at Stanford, came in and said, hey, listen, we're going to let you play wide out. And I signed that letter of intent. I get to Arizona State in July, and probably a couple of weeks later, we want you to play DB. And I'm thinking, I don't want to play DB. And then, Willie Shaw told me that we wanted you to play or give you the opportunity to play a position you wanted to, but we knew that you were going to be a DB for us. And that freshman year, I was kind of upset because I wanted to catch touchdowns, and so I switched to defense, and I played the scout team, safety and defense, and I was just killing receivers in the offense that they put out there, and they told me that I needed to slow down because we needed those guys for the season. So the switch was good for me, as you can see. I wind up making a career out of it, and it was a good thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. So, David, help people understand about the draft in 1986. It was kind of something new for the NFL. We had underclassmen being drafted. You were one of 3 underclass juniors being drafted that year, and you had in your mind in the projections you going really early in the draft. And then you didn't go until the 3rd round. Actually, the Bengals had 2 picks in the 3rd round that year. You were the 2nd pick in the 3rd round. So help people understand that whole process, because it was new to the NFL, right?
Yes, it was. I can recall when I declared that I was not coming back right after our bowl game. We played Arkansas in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, and John Cooper was my coach. And Cooper approached me after the game and said that he wanted to move me to inside linebacker because we had a freshman coming in, that free safety that they thought was pretty good, that they wanted to get on the field. And I told him, why would I want to do that? And then he replied to the point where if you don't move up to linebacker, you might as well transfer. And that kind of made my decision pretty easy because I was going into my 5th year redshirt year to play. And I decided I didn't want to do it. So I petitioned to the NFL, and they were not accepting juniors at that time. You know, there were a few guys who left early, the USFL, Herschel Walker, guys who went and, obviously went to the USL, went to these other leagues, and then came to the NFL, but the NFL wasn't touching juniors. So I couldn't participate in any combine workouts, no bowl games, nothing. Nobody could talk to me. They couldn't come and work me out. I think I may have gained 12 pounds sitting around doing nothing. I was a little concerned that I wasn't going to be able to have an opportunity, 1, to go back to ASU, and 2, not even get into the NFL. So the only thing I was thinking about was maybe the USFL, maybe Canada. And then 2 days before the draft, they accepted my petition. And then every team wanted to come out and work me out. And I wasn't in the best of shape. I was running almost 4.75, 4.8 40. I couldn't do all the lifting. I wasn't as strong. It was just kind of disappointing. But 3 teams, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Bengals, said that we like what we saw on film, and if we can get you back into that 220-pound weight class, because I was about 230, 228, they said that we would take you. And first round came about. I'm up early in the morning thinking that I was going to get that call, and I didn't get that call. And second round went by, and the Giants had 4 picks, I think, in the second round that year. And so I thought I was going to New York, and that went by, and I started to fall asleep because I'm thinking this is not going to happen, and I'm kind of afraid. And so then the third round came about, and when they started the third round, I had a phone call from the Raiders saying that if you're there, we're going to take you. The Bengals hadn't said anything, and then all of a sudden I got that phone call from Paul Brown and Sam Weiss saying, how would you like to be a Bengal? And, to be honest, when you start talking about, the Bengals and the years that they did not have successful football, you start thinking, do I really want to go to Cincinnati? If it was my choice, I'm not going to Cincinnati. I want to go play for somebody that's going to be contending for a title. And when they drafted me, it was a no-brainer. I thought it was the best opportunity for me because Dick LeBeau, he and I sat down and talked about utilizing what I had to bring to the table. And a lot of people don't know this, that, Cincinnati Bengals started the zone blitz with Dick LeBeau. And he used me as that determined factor that we're going to take this guy and we're going to bring him to the line of scrimmage. We're going to drop him in coverage. We're going to blitz him. We're going to have him cover receivers out of the backfield. We're going to have, take these backs. And so he created the zone blitz with David Fulcher. And I think a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans sit out there and say that Troy Polamalu, was the guy that started his own blitz. Well, I'm David Fulcher, but Troy was David Fulcher after David Fulcher left. So people kind of compare me to Troy and say I was a Troy Polamalu. Can't be. David was first. Make sure I get that correct. Make sure everybody understand that. And but yeah, once I got drafted and I got to the Bengals, it was home free from there.
Yeah, Troy ain't no David Fulcher. I can tell you that right now. So I'm going to read off 3 names, David.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if you know these names. Alvin Whalen out of Kansas, Greg Lasker out of Arkansas, and Vince Glenn out of Indiana State. Do you know any of those 3 names?
I do not know those names whatsoever.
Nobody else on this viewing this right now does either, David. So these were 3 safeties that were taken before you in that 1986 draft, by the way. So you got them. You did a hell of a better job than they did.
It was funny that you say that because my first interview in Cincinnati was Jeff Hobson. And Hobby asked me, so how does it feel to lose $500,000 to $1 million in signing bonus? And I replied, I didn't lose anything. If I had the check and they took it back from me, then I lost it. So, I thought about just playing football. I knew that I should have been, in that top, 10 or the first round as a pick. But I just wanted to let my game tell the story. And, when LeBeau got me in the 3rd round, I felt that it was a steal, but I still had to go out and prove that I could play with the big boys, and I knew I could. So I just wanted an opportunity, and he gave me that opportunity.
That's great. So there was an interview I heard earlier this year, David, and you could hear the pride in your voice and how much it meant to you. 34 years after you left Arizona State, you earned your degree. Can you share with everybody that story?
Yes. I could tell you that it was long overdue. It was a long road when I left as a junior. And I think this happens to a lot of young college football players when they leave college, if they didn't graduate and they get into the NFL or any other pro sports, that the money that they're making and the things that they're doing, they don't even look back at it. They look at it as, well, you know what, I'm done. Either I was close or not close, but I'm making a good income. So who needs a degree? And, my daughter Kayla graduated from Thomas More a couple of years ago. And when she walked across that stage, she told me that, Dad, you need to finish. So my wife and I, jokingly about it, we were talking about, yeah, that would be pretty cool. And I started thinking if I was going to go to school, I would like to finish at Arizona State. And I just happened to be driving down the highway and I heard ASU online to get your degree. And my wife and I, Judy, looked into it and we found what we needed to find and how we can get involved. And then the NFL has a trust that they help current and past players with scholarship monies to go back and finish their education. I had to write an essay on why I wanted to go back, and the essay was watching my daughter graduate and walk across that stage inspired me, and so I went back and did it. And May of this year, 2020, I finished about a year and a half of school, and I finished with my liberal arts studies degree, and I'm good to go.
Congratulations, man. That's
Appreciate it.
It's a big deal, man. It really is. I love hearing that story earlier this year. I love it.
What a great story, David. Talking about being a Sun Devil alumni, obviously Herm Edwards is the coach there now. We know former Bengal coach Marvin Lewis is on that staff. Any talks with them? Do you stay in touch with anybody in the football program, especially now that maybe former Bengals coach Marvin Lewis is there as one of the defensive guys?
Yeah, I talked to Herm, gave him congratulations when he took the job a couple of years ago, and gave my words of, I'm a former player, obviously in the league, the ASU alum. If there's anything I can do to help, I'd love to come down there. My wife loves Arizona. Every time we go out there, we don't want to come back. I love to come out there and be on part of that staff. And Herm said he wasn't doing anything right now because he was letting his coaches pick their assistants. And so, yeah, a couple of years I've been, wanting to, obviously coach football there. And I know I coached football here in Cincinnati for a while, but I do stay in contact with them. And I think what's really nice about Arizona State and probably other schools as well is that the alumni group of guys that I played with in the 80s, they're right there in Arizona. A lot of them still live down there. I played with Skip McClendon here in Cincinnati. Skip now lives in Arizona. A lot of the guys, like I said, that played with me live there. So the alumni boost that we have in ASU from the 82 to 86 football team is really strong. A lot of those guys are still there. So I keep in contact with them. I try to get out there as much as I can. Obviously, with this Corona going on now and shutting down everything. But before this, an alumni golf tournament, I would go down there and play a few of those. And I was honored as one of the top 10 defensive players in ASU history. I was down there for celebration there. And, we're pretty close. It's a pretty good, close-knit organization down there. They're running that football college program like a pro program, and Herm and Marvin and some of the coaches who have played in the NFL. They've got a general manager along with an athletic director. They've got things going on down there that if you don't see Arizona State's football program fighting for a national championship in the next couple of years, something's wrong.
Yeah, David, we were out there for the Bengals game a few years back and stayed on campus. That's a fun little campus down there in Arizona State.
Beautiful. I mean, when I tell you, son, it's beautiful, great place to be, and I loved it down there.
Yeah, it's nice. So we got another clip we want to show you, Dave. We're going to play this clip, and then we just want to ask you a question about it. This will be a short one.
Craig, 50, almost, and 6. Craig with some brilliant high kicking running, that patented style of his, breaking into the open and trying perhaps for too much. And Fulcher who applied the hit. And Fulcher, the Pro Bowler, is.
All right, David. So I've heard you tell this story. This is more for our viewers right now. So you play with a chip your whole career, but I don't know what it was that game. You seem to go out of your way after Roger Craig. What happened before that game?
Wow, let me tell you, man. I'm not gonna give you the cursed version of that, but I'm gonna try to keep it clean. During warm-ups, obviously they warm up, we warm up, we come out, and I kind of passed him as we were walking out, and I put my hand out to shake his hand. Hey man, fist bump, whatever. How you doing? I'm excited to be playing, in the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. My third year in the league. I'm excited, and he just walked right by me like I didn't exist. And I thought to myself, "But that's bad news. Bad news, man. I was just trying to be polite, giving you all the props and respecting the San Francisco 49ers." And on that particular play, and I don't know if that was the first half or second half. It was sometime in the game where they decided they're going to run away from me. Every time they ran at me, I was making plays, and they pitched the ball weak, and I had to come all the way from the strong side of the field. And I was so zoned in on him that I wasn't going to. He was either going to juke me or I was going to knock his chest off, because Roger Craig runs really, really high. Guy like that, you want to hit him in the chest. You don't want to hit him in his legs, because his legs are, up in the air, and I don't want my head to get knocked around. So I was coming over there full steam ahead, man, and I was not going to stop. And he made a good cut, but he made it a little bit too late. And I just happened to get I always tell my guys about the flipper. I happened to get that flipper up there in my left arm, and I hit him right in his chest with my left forearm, and that ball popped out. And I said to myself, when he fumbled that football, I walked up to him and I said, if you had just shook my damn hand, and I said, damn, at that time I didn't. If you'd have shook my damn hand, that probably wouldn't have happened. So he looked at me like, yeah, I probably should have shook your hand. But it was one of those things that I got fired up. I was in awe of playing in the Super Bowl, but I was disturbed that they thought they were better than us. I mean, they won the game, but they played us like we weren't supposed to be there with them, and I took that personal.
Yeah, I love that story. Just advice, PSA: don't piss off David, because you don't want that flipper on your ass or get you.
Man, I hit that flipper, man. Go get it.
All right, so last clip, and then we'll get to some questions here from the viewers right now. But we're going to play one more clip here, David. This is clip 3, Jamie. I want David to see.
3-0 Cleveland with less than 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Those are intercepted. It is Fulcher, David Fulcher for a touchdown. The big safety man playing right up on the line of scrimmage and a linebacker.
All right, David. I found a bunch of interceptions, but I had to play that one because I think that was your first interception for a touchdown in your NFL career. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Yep, that's good stuff.
That was Cleveland, and I don't even remember. I don't think we even won that game. I think we may have lost that game. LeBeau was trying to interrupt Bernie Kosar. You know, Bernie threw a lot of balls sidearm, and he didn't throw the ball a lot down the field. So a lot of stuff that was happening was coming out the backfield. So I was actually blitzing, and I noticed that the back who was supposed to block me wouldn't block me, and the tackle came to block me. So I decided that instead of trying to go after Bernie, I was just going to jump in the air and knock the ball down. And when I jumped in the air, when he threw it, it just kind of like, I would say it was like right at my face. And I brought my hands down and caught it. And I went, oh my gosh, I just intercepted the ball. I think I better run to the end zone. And I know Bernie couldn't run. And I got that lineman right there who was blocking me, couldn't run. I'm thinking, oh, I got a touchdown. As long as I don't fall, I got a touchdown. So it was once again something that LeBeau in our zone blitz, he dialed it up and he said, if you're going to do something, make sure you do it fast. If you're going to make an adjustment, make sure that everybody knows what you're doing or the guy that you're going to replace. And instead of me blitzing, I just backed off and I saw that pass and I intercepted it.
Yeah, it's a great clip. It almost looked like you kind of ducked down a hide a little bit, knowing he was going to throw that, and kind of jumped up and grabbed it. But a lot of people don't know, David, you're third all time in Bengal history with interceptions, 31 interceptions, behind Lewis Breeden, and of course Ken Riley being number 1 in the franchise. The other stat I kind of thought was interesting is that there's been 7 Bengals in NFL history that have had 3 interception games. The first one was Lamar Parrish in 1972 against the Oilers. And then, David, you had your 3 interceptions in 89 against the Oilers as well. So, and actually it was crazy. It was the same date, December 17th, I think, of 72 and December 17th of 89, both against the Oilers, Lamar Parrish and you. And I think your first 2 interceptions were 1986. And I think they came in the same game against Warren Moon, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, I had my 3 interceptions I had against Houston and Warren Moon. And I think I may have dropped 1 or 2 in that same game that I got those 3. But I actually had another game against Kansas City where I had 3 in one game. But yeah, against the Houston Oilers, it's weird, man. That was a game that, and I tell this story. Sam Weiss used to have a sweatsuit that I really liked. You know, it was a really nice sweatsuit that we hadn't seen. I don't know where he got it from, but I asked him, could I have it one day? And he was like, there's no way I'm going to let you have my sweatsuit unless you go out and it was against the Houston Oilers. He said, go out there and you give me 3 interceptions. You go out there and give me a sack or 2 and get, 10 something tackles. I'll take this sweatsuit off my back. Well, I went out there and I had those 3 interceptions. I had a sack. I think I had 12 tackles. And Monday morning, Sam came in and took that sweatsuit off his back and gave it to me. And I had to go wash it, but I took that sweatsuit and took it home with me.
Now that thing actually fit, David? Did it actually fit?
I couldn't. You guys are going in and out, man. Like I said, I'm hoping it's not me, but I didn't hear anything you guys just said. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay.
The question was, did
it fit?
Yeah,
well, it was a little tight. It was long enough, but it was a little tight. And I said to myself, I guess I gotta wait to get it on.
Nice. Well, this is the part of the show where our viewers, we thank all of them for tuning in. Here's your chance to ask the question that you want for Mr. Fulcher, and we appreciate his time on here tonight. But our resident historian, Tom Justin, has a question for Mr. Fulcher while everybody else types theirs in. David, in the AFC Championship game, did you read Jim Kelly's eyes and adjust on your game-clinching interception? Or was the defensive call for you to be in coverage?
Just give it a second. No, it didn't come through. I don't think you can hear us, guys. I think there's a bandwidth delay issue here. I think it's messing up with him not being able to hear it.
Right.
All right.
You're kind of like going in and out, and I'm not sure why.
They put the question up, Jamie.
I do
on the screen.
I can't put that one up because it wasn't typed on our stream.
Go ahead and put a different one up, Jamie. David, we're going to try to put a question on the screen. If you can see that and then answer that, that would be great.
You can see that.
Yeah.
No, I think his.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you guys at all.
Yeah, let's try to get him to log back out. If you could.
Go ahead, Jimmy, while you reach back to him. Again, if you have a question for David, feel free to type that in the chat. We'll get David to log back in, see if we can get a better connection.
I'm going to try to get him right now.
Like that. Okay. Go ahead.
Some pretty cool stories, though. I'm hoping to get him back on because we got some really good questions here from the fans.
Yep.
So again, guys, appreciate you guys logging in. Of course, we got a lot of some new viewers this week as well due to our new partnership with our good friends at Houday Nation Facebook group. So if you guys are members there, welcome to the stream. If you're watching for the first time, we started doing this show. Let's see, I don't even know how many weeks it's been, guys, but we had
It's 15. This is 15.
We had the crazy idea to do a live draft party, and we had a lot of really good feedback from that, so we continued doing it. Let's try and bring David back in. Let's see if that's better. Can you hear us, David?
I can hear you loud and clear now. Put some headphones on. Maybe that may help a little bit too.
Okay.
We're going to go back to the question from our resident historian, Tom Justin, then we're going to go to a couple of the fans. The question from Tom, David, is, in the AFC Championship game, did you read Jim Kelly's eyes and adjust on your game-clinching interception, or was the defensive call for you to be in coverage?
No, that was me reading Jim Kelly. We were actually in zone defense, and I was the high safety on that particular play, and Jim never looked to his right. And I think we had underneath man where the linebacker was playing man-to-man with the on the back, and Jim, I saw it all the way, and he threw the ball a little bit over that running back's head, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and all I thought about was making the catch. I wasn't trying to look pretty. I didn't use my hands. I just made sure I caught it. And once I caught it, I got to the ground because I knew we were on our way to the Super Bowl.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, Jamie, let's go to the viewers' questions. And Ricky, if you can't hear Jamie, David, the question is on the screen. Maybe if you're having trouble hearing Jamie talk.
So Ricky Dixon.
Yeah.
Memories about Ricky Dixon, man. Let me tell you, one of the memories I have about Ricky Dixon was one of a big one was in the Super Bowl when he made that touchdown saving tackle on Jerry Rice. That if we look back at that and go, maybe he should have let Jerry score. That gives our offense, a minute and a half to go down and score or whatever time was left. But one thing about Ricky Dixon, man, was Ricky was probably the coolest football player I ever known. And what I mean by cool, man, he was Joe Smooth. Ricky Dixon had a convertible Mercedes that was burgundy. And he also had a suit that was velvet that was burgundy. And Ricky Dixon, when he drove that car, there were a few times he had that suit on. And we used to call him Slick Rick because he was the slickest dude in town. And let me tell you, it was a convertible Mercedes that Ricky had that convertible down when it was 30 degrees. He was just so smooth, man. And, I know that we're going to eventually leave this earth, man, but I think that guy left a little bit too soon. I think this disease that he had crippled him to the point where he just, for years that he dealt with it, and it finally succumbed to take his life. But Ricky Dixon, man, let me tell you, a hard hitter. He just was too small, man, but he was a hard hitter, and every time he hit somebody, it would hurt him and the other guy that he was hitting.
Yeah, I'm with you. Left too soon for sure, man. Awful, awful thing.
So, yes. David, one of the things we talk about on the show often is that we want to see the Bengals do a Ring of Honor. Sam asks, what would be inducted in a future Bengals Ring of Honor mean to you? You'd have a ton of fan support for sure.
The Ring of Honor, it represents the city of Cincinnati, seeing a player who played here for them with their name up there in the stadium. I know we have pictures of ourselves inside the stadium, but that's in the whatever lounge that is, that they've got those pictures in there that are hanging down. But inside the stadium, it makes you feel appreciative that you've played for this city. The city sees what you have done, and even in letting the city vote for it. But I think it would be great for something like that to happen, because I think the fans would enjoy seeing past players, and maybe, and I wouldn't say current players, but past players who have given their all for the city of Cincinnati and this Cincinnati football franchise, to see their name up there and number up there in the rafters around that stadium. So I think it'd be awesome. I'm not sure that Mike wants to do something like that, because I think Mike is loyal to a fault. He wants everybody's name to be up there instead of just one name. So I think it's tough for him to do that, but I think it would be great, man. I think it would be awesome to see the past players who started this franchise, who contribute to Cincinnati winning, and have them up on that around that stadium. That'd be great.
And David, just to let you know, we did a Ring of Honor induction over a period of time earlier this year. We inducted 16 players into the Ring of Honor, and you were our 11th inductee into that Ring of Honor, David. So when that Ring of Honor goes up, your name's going to be there, big dog. We got you.
We got one more question here, David, from Marcus. How do you feel about our safety tandem of Von Bell and Jesse Bates? What advice would you give them?
So Von Bell brings, that toughness to Cincinnati, and Jesse Bates is a sharpshooter playing the deep middle. I think those two players together could make some things happen back there. Try to get some fear in those wide receivers from coming across the middle, like myself and Solomon Wilcox did when we played. But you got to make a statement, and that statement has to come out the very first time you play somebody that these two are going to control the middle of that field. And the advice I would give those guys, one is just trust your instincts, trust your gut. Football is not a track meet. Some people were really, really fast, and some guys run 4.3 and whatnot, but you got to trust your instinct. You got to know what's going on. You got to see the line of scrimmage. You got to see uncovered linemen. You got to be able to say that I'm going to play fast no matter what happens. And don't be afraid to make a mistake. I think sometimes that these guys are afraid to make a mistake because coaches might get on them more. Things may look different, but when you're a safety, you can't afford to make mistakes because you're the last line of defense. So if you're going to play tough, hard, and fast. And I think these two guys can do that.
Great. So, David, thanks for your time today, buddy. We have one more question to
yes,
go.
Sir.
Just, brother, give us your take on this year's team. Give us a prediction.
Wow. Well, if they play, I think they can play pretty well. I've always said, and I think I go back to the Paul Brown's way of thinking, that everything starts with an offensive line. You can have the best quarterback behind a mediocre line, and he becomes a mediocre quarterback. If you can have an offensive line that gives him an opportunity to throw the football, then he can make things happen. Now it's on him to get it to those receivers. They've got a running back that I think that could be another 1,000, 1,500-yard runner. They've got receivers that can catch the football, and they got a young kid who can throw the ball. But I think that they have got to protect him. I don't predict anything but, one win at a time. And definitely when you play Pittsburgh, you got to kick their butts twice. If that's the only game you win, you better beat them and beat them bad. But I think this football team has a chance to, surprise some people. I don't think that people are expecting them to be a playoff football team, but I think that this football team can win enough games to get into the playoff. And once again, in this division, Baltimore is the team to beat in this division. But once again, if you can beat, you got to protect your home field. You get 8 games at home, you got to be 8-0 at home. And if you split on the road, you're 12-4. And you have to control. That's how you control everything. So I think this football team, if they stay healthy enough, if no one gets succumbed to the virus that stops them from playing this year, I think they got a pretty good chance.
Yep. Well, David, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate having you on. And I do want to let you know that we do have you in the Bengal Shrine at Bengal Gyms here, brother. So thanks for being on with us, buddy. Houday. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. You guys take care, man. God bless.
Thank you.
See you.
Cheers.
Hey, we fought through some delay issues there, but it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it worked out, and the connection was great once he reconnected. So appreciate the patience with him and a little bit of delay, but another great guest. And of course, Bengal Jim pulls out his memorabilia of the week there with did he have the arrow in his hair there?
No, he had a little high top fade working.
Nice.
I got excited there when you were talking about how we inducted him in our Ring of Honor. I thought he thought it was a real thing for a second, and then he clued in that it was just a rehearsal.
I'm telling you, we are going to strong arm the Bengals into doing this Ring of Honor, hell or high water here. I think we've talked enough about it on this show that they are going to make it happen. But great having David on, and as he said, Jimmy, you mentioned we were in Arizona for the last time the Bengals were there, and our fan of the week was also there. But anytime you go out to the desert when it's cold back home in the Midwest is a great trip, and their stadium is pretty cool just on the east side of Tempe there, overlooking the mountains. It's a pretty scenic place to watch a football game.
Yep. So where are we going next? Fan of the week?
Fan of the week. And as I said, we had the opportunity to meet Adam out at the Phoenix, the Cardinals game a couple of years ago. Being from Canada, of course, he's got a Bill Ranford jersey over his right shoulder. Yeah, Jamie, we got our resident Canuck on here, is somehow a Las Vegas Knights fan. So I don't know what happened, but he hates the Maple Leafs, so that's how that happened. But so welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Now your full-time gig is on the radio, so feel free to critique us on what us hacks are doing wrong here.
You guys are doing really good. The biggest thing you got to learn is to listen to the person you're talking to. You did a very good job of letting Fulcher answer the questions. You did a great job. And
our guests are just filled with so much, history and knowledge and a lot of stuff that's never been told before. So that's easy. We just kind of sit back and awe and listen to their stories, which are pretty exciting. But being in Edmonton, tell our fans how you became a Bengals fan.
I've been a Bengals fan for 18 years. Back in college, we started a NFL pool, just picking the winners every single week. And I rode with the Bengals every single week. And every single week they lost. They went 2-14 that year. But I just kept picking them every single week. And by the end of this season, I was full on into really cheering for them to win. So it became a thing. Like the next season, I had my gear, and I've been cheering for them ever since.
Now, you said AJ is your favorite Bengal. How'd that come about?
I just think he's the man. Like, I think we really missed him last year. I think he's the epitome of what a player in that position should be. He's very classy. He's not too flashy. Says all the right things. He wants to be a Bengal for life. I think he lets his play do a lot of the talking, and I can't wait to see him and Joe connect on the field this year. I think it's going to be really, really cool. A lot of those slant passes, a lot of those 10-yard plays, just moving up and down the field. It's going to be awesome.
Jamie, you look like you had a question ready to go for your fellow Canadian.
No. I say look like a genius those 2 weeks the Bengals won. That's all I.
Well, it took them 7 weeks to get the first win, but man, it felt awesome.
Now, the game we saw you in Arizona, how many away games had you attended to that point?
That was my second. It was supposed to be 3, but a hurricane in Houston adjusted the schedule 1 year. So I've only been on the road to see the Bengals play twice. Being in radio, I'm actually, for a 4-month chunk of the year, right from September all the way to December 1st, we're in radio and see the team on the road. So I always have to try and time it for a December outing. And that's when we saw you guys, was right at the end of November. And that was such a cool time meeting you guys.
So we had our friends, the Bengal Trailer, out there in Phoenix for that one, which is quite the unique experience. God bless these guys that pulled their trailer all the way from Cincinnati to the desert and ended up breaking down on the way home and had to rebuild the trailer and all that good stuff. But tell us about that experience being with. There must have been 300 people there. I don't think I posted gave Jamie the picture to post, but it was packed in the middle of the Cardinal parking lot.
It was insane. Well, I used to work with a guy named Chris. He was in Vegas one weekend, and he met these girls, and they were from Scottsdale. And they said, there's a bar there, and it's staffed by little people. You have to go sometime. And so they flipped a coin in Vegas. They're like, heads or tails? Heads, we're going to go. And it landed on tails. They never went. So when he found out I was going down there, he said, you have to go to Scottsdale. You have to go to this bar that's staffed by little people. They have little bars and little stools and stuff. And so we roll in there, and all these Bengal fans had just flooded the place. And that's where I met you guys for the first time out on the patio. Got the invite and the dropped pin to go and meet you out in Glendale. And that's just a huge parking lot. But just being able to party with 300 fans. Like, I think I couldn't even say hello before I was drinking jungle juice out of a gas can. I have a picture of that. I really had to tell people, I don't get to see them often. Please, I want to be sober enough that I remember a bit of the game. But the tailgating was just absolutely insane. It was so cool to because it's very rare to meet Bengals fans here in Edmonton. It's a really rare thing.
Well, Adam, let me ask you a question. I mean, we get just dozens of folks coming down from Canada to the tailgate over the year, right? So a lot of people from the Toronto area coming down, Brantford area coming down. So any other Bengal fans close to you at all that you're aware of?
Well, yeah, like meeting them was pretty special. I got tailed around by a security guard one time at the drugstore, me and my son, and I don't think I was looking suspicious or anything, but he was following us up and down the rows, back and forth, and eventually he got close enough and he was like, "Who dey?" No! Oh my goodness! And I had the hat on. I didn't even think about it, right? So we started talking, and he had grown up in Ohio, and we really connected over it. So, like, when you meet a Bengals fan here in Edmonton, it's the biggest thing. Another time I was at a bar, and a girlfriend of mine came and tapped me on the shoulder. She's like, "You got to meet this guy. He's a Bengals fan." So I go over, and we start chatting, and he shows me his lock screen on his phone, and it's his son in a little Dalton jersey. And I show him the lock screen on my phone, and it's my son in his Dalton jersey. And we're like, "Oh my God, we're best friends now." So, yeah, like when you meet another fan, it's a really special thing.
Classic. So your favorite Bengal moment was the 8-0 start. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the 8-0 start. There was nothing like it. Like I really do wear cheering for this team on my sleeve. With my radio show, I always talk about how the team was doing, and it's nice sometimes to get a text, a who day from people that are cheering for the team as well. But, there's been a lot of ups and downs. But with that streak, those 4 or 5 straight years making the playoffs and having the team start 8-0 that one season was such a special feeling, having people that had, kind of chirped the team for a while or you keep in contact with over football, finally tipping their hat and saying, "You got a good team, you got a good squad together." And I'm really hoping with some of the moves we've made in the offseason, obviously bringing Joe Burrow in, I'm looking forward to feeling that again very soon.
We asked David Fulcher this question. He wouldn't give us the prediction, but we'll ask Adam, our fan of the week, what can we expect here for the upcoming year?
I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous. I'm going to take what Fulcher said, too. I think it goes with our O-line. I love the additions that we've made on defense. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the D-line can do this year. But if our O-line stays healthy and if they can protect Joe, I think good things are going to happen. I'm going to go with 9-7.
All right.
We'll take that. That's a playoff berth right there, likely.
Likely.
Even if we can get that wild card, just competitive in the mix, I would love to see that this season. I'm thinking a lot of people are sleeping on the Bengals. I like the additions that we've made, and I think if we stay healthy, we can surprise some people.
Yep.
So the end of November, December, is that when we need the Bengals to schedule another West Coast game so we can?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to get to Cincinnati, too. I got to try some Skyline Chili. I understand you guys have an awesome beer fest there. I think it's like the biggest Oktoberfest outside of Munich, but it's always in September, right? So one of these long weekends, maybe Canadian Thanksgiving, I can work it into my time off where I can finally go and see the team play again. But, anything I'm down for. I can't wait to see them again in person.
Well, we appreciate Adam. Be safe out in Edmonton. Keep up the good work on the airwaves, and look forward to seeing you again at a Bengals game in the future, my friend.
Can't wait. Who day?
Who day, buddy?
Take care, buddy. Awesome. There we go. We're gonna start sending the shows to Adam to critique them. We got a professional now that can tell us everything we're doing wrong.
This is like the Canadian invasion this week here, guys.
Yeah.
All right, History 101 time?
Yep.
All right. Let's bring Tom on here. And there we go.
Hey, Tom, what's up, buddy?
How we doing, guys?
Good, man. Good. So Tom and I were talking yesterday and kind of figured out we had a bunch of different topics on the agenda we wanted to hit on from a History 101 perspective. Tom was like, let's hit on the top 5 sack leaders throughout Bengal history. And again, there's a lot of great defensive players that could make this list. Judson Smith was a good one. Michael Johnson, Crumry was up there. James Francis was pretty damn good. Robert Gathers had some really good years with us here in Cincinnati as well. So we have picked 5 players. We're going to go through and actually, Jamie, go ahead and just play this clip. So we're going to talk about these guys and we'll kind of cap them. So Corey Bacon, didn't make our top 5, but we took Corey Bacon as played for the Bengals in 76 and 77. We'll let this video clip just roll. if you want. You know what? Go ahead and go back to Coy Bacon. Let's go ahead and stop each time there. That's probably a good idea, Jamie. So Coy Bacon played for the Bengals in 76 and 77. And he was the one that we traded Charlie Joyner for to the Chargers to get Coy Bacon. Played for us in 76 and 77. He recorded 21 and a half sacks in 1976, but that was prior to the NFL officially recording individual sacks as a stat.
Right. They were tackles for loss back then. But, he was a wrecking ball that year. And, yeah, they gave up a lot with Charlie Joyner. I think the thought was they needed that defensive presence, somebody that could get after the quarterback and disrupt. And he did. Those were very good Bengal teams back then. And he kind of became the star that stood out, on the defensive front seven. He was here for 2 years, played well. In fact, there's a movement. A lot of guys on the boards and chats on the internet that feel a lot of people believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. Coy played for 4 different franchises. There was a little bit of a reason for that. He was a little bit of a lawyer in the locker room, at least in his younger days. I think he mellowed out, really got himself together later in his career and life. Unfortunately, he's passed away. But he was devastating that year. Nobody could stop him.
Yeah, and he's an Ohio boy from Ironton, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
When he was done, he became very religious and became a prison guard and a counselor to prisoners.
Yep. So let's talk about – so Coy didn't make our top 5, but we had to talk about Coy because the 21 and a half sacks in 1976 is just amazing. So we're going to count down now from 5 to 1. And Tom, I'll let you take number 5 here, bud.
Ross Browner was known as probably the best player in college football. His senior year, led Notre Dame to a national championship. A lot of people thought he should win the Heisman, and he had a legitimate beef there. But very athletic, very quick, had a great move to the outside, great move to the inside, was part of that web defense in the late 70s that was so popular. And one thing a lot of people forget about in the loss of Super Bowl 16 is he had just an incredible game, double-digit tackles. He had a sack. He had 3 or 4 pressures on Montana, especially in the second half where the 49ers had trouble moving the ball. A lot of that had to do with Ross Browner. And he was a good Bengal for a number of years.
Yeah, he played for the Bengals for 9 years. Actually, out of the top 5 that we're going to be talking about, he's the one that had the least amount of years with the Bengals. These other 4 guys we'll talk about here in a minute have spent double-digit years, and a couple of them still going, to give you a hint. Ross Browner played for Notre Dame, right? And we had him on the show here last month, and he was an outstanding interview. He was fun. So let's go with number 4 right now. This will be the only non-defensive lineman that will make the list, but Reggie Williams, Tom.
Yeah, I'd just gotten out of kindergarten when Reggie joined the team, and I think it was in college when Reggie retired. But, just an absolute class act, class person. It's probably what he's known best for, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he played hard. He played smart. He made the guys around him feel better. And there were a number of years as the Bengals were struggling on the pass rush. He was their best alternative as a pass rusher. So he'd come to the outside, and again, he would come on the inside. He played on a number of teams, even though they were in a 3-4 in the 80s that didn't blitz a whole lot.
Right.
Still got an incredible number of sacks.
Yeah, 13 years with the Bengals. And actually, we have Reggie as a guest coming up here on the first Sunday in September. I think it's September 6th, something like that. But we will have Reggie on. We're going to be talking about that with him, Tom. That's good stuff. But number 4, Reggie Williams, longtime Bengal, the counselor. The next 2 guys are more recent, Tom. We're talking history, but we got Geno Atkins at 3 right now. Again, he's going into, I think, his 10th year with us. Or he just finished his 10th year, I think, whatever. 75 and a half sacks, Geno Atkins.
He and Carlos Dunlop both were part of that Fisher-Price defensive line that the Bengals nicknamed in 2010 when they were drafted. Not only is he going into his 10th year, one day he'll be going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And it's just as much an obvious choice as Ken Anderson and Ken Riley. But staying on Geno, just, even though he's not the largest defensive tackle in the league and hasn't, he can do it with speed. He can do it with a bull rush. He can do it with toughness, discipline. You can tell he studies hard during the week, but there's not anything he can't do against the pass rush. And he's had some devastating plays. I'll always remember the Thursday night game where he threw the Texans guard back into Deshaun Watson for a sack. But he's a disruptor. And the other thing about Geno is he's made guys on the line better because of him.
Yep, agree. Absolutely, 100%. So next on the list is another teammate drafted the same year. Just talked about him slightly, but Carlos Dunlop, 81.5 sacks right now, and drafted the same year. This guy has been a steady, consistent player since he's been in the league for us, Tom.
He's underrated nationally. He's underrated, I think, by fans here. I know I got to know him. He ruined the Sugar Bowl when UC played Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and he had an absolute one-man wrecking crew that night. Got drafted in the second round with the Bengals. Had a little bit, of physical maturing to do, and it took about a year or two, and then it has just absolutely clicked. First-class person, plays hard, plays tough, gets to the quarterback either by reach or move or quickness and toughness. He's got it all. He's had an incredible career, and there's still more left in the tank.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, him and Geno both, man. I think, again, we'll move the number one here right now. Then we're going to kind of round back to Geno and Carlos here in a second. But, the number one right now on our list is Eddie Edwards with 83.5 sacks, played 11 years for the Bengals. Had a hell of a career, Tom.
Was a number 3 overall draft pick out of Miami. And again, he had it all. Teams were, had to look at Ross Browner. They had to worry more about Eddie Edwards because he was a brute. He was fast. He was tall. And he would just get after the passer. He went to the Pro Bowl one year. A lot of people don't talk about that. He was an All-Pro in 81 when they went to the Super Bowl. Had double-digit sacks. I believe he had 13 sacks in 1983, the year the Bengals had the number one defense in the league. But back in the early 80s for 4 or 5 years, there was not a better defensive lineman in the NFL than Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And a lot of these guys are talking about Ross Browner and Eddie Edwards that played in that late 70s era as well before they went into the 80s. I mean, the opportunity that these guys had back then to sack the quarterback wasn't as prevalent as it would be for a defender in today's NFL where everything's a pass, it seems like.
And it was tougher for Eddie, who was an elite pass rusher, because teams would work on him. He had 5 sacks against the team that plays on Lake Erie, the last game of the 1980 season. He had 5 sacks, 3 in the first half, and Rutigliano reconfigured the offense in the second half. He put the tight end on him to chip him, and then he put a running back on him. So Eddie was beating 3 guys, and he still sacked Brian Sipe 2 more times in the second half and hurried him, a bunch of other. He was just an absolute one-man wrecking crew that game.
And that's beautiful. That's twice on the show tonight. We talked about the city up north. David Fulcher had his first interception for a touchdown, and talking about Eddie Edwards and 80 against the city up north. But what's interesting, Tom, about this, and I think we're done with the video. Jamie, thank you. We've got 2 guys going into the season here that have a legitimate shot of passing Eddie Edwards. You've got Carlos that is 2 sacks behind the tying Eddie Edwards. And you got Geno that's not that. He'd have to have a pretty good year, but it's still feasible for Geno to also pass. It literally could happen if we get the season in this year, Tom. The number 1 and number 2 sack leader for Cincinnati Bengals in the history could be Carlos and Geno after this year.
And those 2 guys are really probably overall. You could put them and Tim Crumry, 2 are our top 2 defensive linemen in history, are in Carlos and Geno. So it's going to be, special. Like I said, I'll look for Carlos to do that earlier. The other thing about Carlos, and everybody loves J.J. Watt and he swats down passes, but look it up. I think in the last 5 years, Carlos has more pass defense than J.J. Watt. But nobody talks about him, in large part due to our market size and so forth like that.
Right.
But just an absolute great guy. And yeah, he'll have that sack record. He might even have it week 1.
Yeah, I'm literally thinking week 1 he's going to at least get 2. Geno's got some work to do to get there, but I mean, literally at the end of the year, these guys both could be 1 and 2 in the Bengals record book.
line with DJ Reader, looks it's going to be fun to watch our defense this year.
Absolutely. There was a post on social media today about somebody thinking we may have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. I think that's true. That is absolutely accurate in my opinion.
Yeah, we get Trey back healthy, and they'll be good to go.
Yep. So let's talk about one more thing. So you noticed all these guys on this list were double-digit years playing. You have to play a long time to get this many sacks. Ross Browner was the only one that had nine years with the Bengals. But I mean, just name a couple, one or two. I mean, that didn't have the extended career with the Bengals, but another career that was cut short, not because of injury per se, but Mike Reed would have been one as well if he played.
Mike Reed was destined for the Hall of Fame. The Pittsburgh Steelers coaches used to tell their guys every year when they would vote for the Pro Bowl. And it was tough back then because players voted for the Pro Bowl, but they didn't have league experience of watching it. It would just be who you played against and who you watched, the first half of Monday Night Football. So, but he'd always say, and they'd say, yeah, but he didn't have any sacks against us. And he said, that's because I would have two guys on him and a running back watching him. So, but yeah, Mike Reed was quick. He was light, but he was insanely quick. Very, very smart. And, had he stayed healthy, unfortunately, he had a couple knee surgeries. And after each knee surgery, that quickness waned a little bit. But, he had the music career that he was at. He didn't want his hands stepped on because he couldn't play the piano anymore. And he hung it up, after that last surgery.
Yep. Yeah. So, Tom, every session you and I do here, we do a, Bengal memorabilia. So this is an old green seat from old Riverfront Stadium and autographed by the first guy we talked about this evening, Coy Bacon, number 79 from the Cincinnati Bengals, seat 13. So this is the great late Coy Bacon with 21 and a half sacks in 1976. So that's our Bengal memorabilia of the show today.
There you go.
So, well, Tom, man, we appreciate it, man. Thanks. That was fun digging into the history of the sack masters of the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're all counting on hopefully Carlos and Gino at the end of the year being way ahead of Eddie Edwards in the sack league.
Fine. When we look back, if we're talking history next offseason, this defensive line this year is going to be the best defensive line in the history of the team.
I can't wait. This season's got to get going. We got to start. We got to play every single game this year. I can't wait.
I can't wait for tomorrow. I guess the rest of the media gets to come in. We can check on Twitter to see who's looking good and who's not looking good.
That's right.
You guys,
thanks a lot, buddy. We appreciate it.
Night.
Good day, buddy.
We will no longer have to rely on Bengal Jim beat reporter. We can get the professionals from The Athletic and our buddy Jeff Hobson on there to get us some camp footage.
That's right. Some real footage.
You touched on the sack guys, but I agree 100%. Bringing in Reader and what we've done on the defense, I think will only help Carlos and Gino.
You got Hubbard, and it's going to be fun. We got to stay healthy. We got to play. Period.
Tom just got me excited again. I'm ready to go.
Question of the week, Jamie. What do you got for us this week?
Question of the week. Speaking of, if we're to play some games, and if you guys are watching the chat, feel free to put your answer in the chat here. We'll go to Jimmy first, since I always seem to pick on Jim. I didn't forget. Jimmy, question of the week. If they allow fans to attend games, will you go? I'm pretty sure I know your answer.
How can you even ask that question with a straight face?
I want to answer, but I can't say it on air. But hell yeah, I will be there. And actually, somehow, some way, if my season ticket seniority is not up there, I will sneak into that damn stadium as a green seat and just sit there and watch the game. Somehow, some way, I'm going to be in that stadium if they allow fans, no doubt.
Jimmy would be part of the grounds crew. What else could you get? Janitorial services. You will get in.
I'll be the water boy. I will whatever.
I'm the same way. Look forward to it. Hopefully, that opportunity arises where whatever it is, 15, 20, 25,000 get the opportunity to go in. But better yet, I'm looking forward to hearing what the rest of our fans have to say. I think this is an interesting question. I think a lot of them had to make a decision, especially if they were season ticket holders, if they wanted to defer to next year, or if they wanted to stay the course. So I look forward to hearing. Jamie, what's your thoughts? If you could sneak across the border, would you?
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I actually can go to the States. It's only the land border that's closed. I can actually fly pretty much anywhere in the States. So the problem is, if I were to go to Cincinnati for the home opener, not only would I be scorned locally by people here, when I come back, I'd have to quarantine for 14 days. And then I don't know what the rules are in Cincinnati if they'd require me to quarantine as well. So it could end up being like a 30-day quarantine trip if I were to do it. With my business up here, I wouldn't be able to make it. But if I could go down and come right home, 100% I'd be there.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to hear very shortly, with the season being 28 days away, is, right now in the state of Ohio, no matter what college games or professional games, there's no fans in the stands. There's the state of emergency in the state of Ohio, but there is talk right now that DeWine is going to lift that state of emergency with the decrease in admissions and things of that nature going on. So the Bengals can't make any announcement to any of us right now, because I did not opt out. I'm keeping my season tickets, and hopefully I'm in that number that will allow us to be in a stadium. I would expect an announcement here within the next. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this week. Maybe we're less than 4 weeks away, so they're going to be making an announcement here probably the next week and a half. If they lift that, they're expecting DeWine to lift that state of emergency, and when that happens, you will see the Bengals making an announcement of limited fans in the stands, and that could be all over the place, from 14,000 to maybe up to 24,000, somewhere in between even. Pure speculation, but that's kind of what I'm hearing on my end. So,
and one thing that may help the Bengals, if everything goes smooth, there's talk about the Reds potentially having fans in their stands before. So perhaps if that happens just down the street at Great American Ballpark, fans go in on a limited capacity, everybody stays healthy, that goes smooth. I think that will only help the NFL and the Bengals in their attempt to get fans in the stands. So what are the fans out there saying, Jamie? We saw Chris's response.
Yeah, Bengal Bobby says, hell yeah. Jungle Joe says, I'll be in my seat if we can be, for sure. And he also says, looking forward to the tailgate as well.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Brian Creamer, distance and be careful. More worried about public bathrooms and outdoor interactions. Jungle Joe also opted to keep the season tickets as well. And that's what we got from chat.
Yeah.
All right. So I think, a lot of the folks on here are classified as the diehard fans, which I certainly would think would be the yes. Certainly maybe some may have some underlying health issues where they can't go safely. But, I think three of us be there if it happens, and we can get Jamie across the border, not quarantined for 3 months and all that good stuff. But, we'll stay optimistic. As you said, Jimmy, we don't know yet, 4 weeks out. But one, I guess, happy thought or sad thought along those lines was, it popped up on my Facebook timeline this week, was preseason games from years past. It's like, dog, we should be watching some preseason games, watching some of these rookies play, seeing how they're doing, especially getting a chance to watch Joe Burrow throw a couple passes. So we're here. We're in the official, what we should be doing as preseason games. But I think we're just excited and anticipating everything. And as Tom said, we'll have some media inside training camp this week with some more pictures and videos. We've seen some on a limited basis here in the last week or so, but just excited. Hopefully everybody's staying safe, and we'll keep moving forward into the direction of playing football, and then hopefully getting to see it firsthand.
Yep.
Blackhawks just beat the Golden Knights, so sorry.
For your NHL update, Jamie.
Game's over.
It's all right. We'll have 3 chances to win 1 game. You'll be okay.
We'll be fine.
All right, guys, we'll close it out here, man. I tell you, getting 28 days away, man, before you know it, it's opening day, guys. So a lot of things are going to be happening here probably in the next week on announcements from the NFL, the states, local municipalities, the teams. So we'll see what happens with that. But stay safe, everybody. Wear your mask. No matter what side of the political aisle you're on, wear your damn mask. My wife and I go downtown walking. We have our mask with us just in case we go into a restaurant or grab a beer or something. But wear a mask. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in again. Look, we're not professionals as you can see, but this is being done by fans for the fans. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in. And this show keeps gradually getting bigger every single week on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure to follow Who Dey Nation on Facebook, follow our Facebook page, Twitter, and make sure you subscribe. If you could subscribe to our YouTube page, even if you're a Facebook follower, please subscribe to our YouTube page as well. We have some things we're getting ready to roll out and announce coming up here very soon. We got a lot of exciting things planned. So we appreciate everybody for being with us tonight. Thanks again. There'll be an announcement this week on who we're going to have on next week. We've got a lot of names in the hopper. I told you, maybe Lewis Breeden, maybe Pac-Man. We already got Reggie Williams lined up for September 6th, I think. So a lot of fun stuff happening. We will see you guys later. See you guys next week. Thanks for your time. Who Dey, guys.
Stay safe, everyone.
Who Dey. Cheers.